a lot of the times, there's this complaint about thought and mind getting in the way, but it doesn't matter because that's the play, that's the emanation.
Let's say something, because you're reminding me about something happened yesterday. We were talking here about these things. I said, if there's thought, if you say, well, yes, of course, someone had said that maybe like a very overactive mind stops you from something. And I said, it doesn't stop you. Okay? So what I wanted to continue to say, if, for instance, we call this state, overactive mind is now throbbing, boom, 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 boom. And I say, but it doesn't stop you from what you are, your awareness. It doesn't depend on the mind being calm any more than the ocean require the waves to be still to be more ocean-like. It can be everything is there. No? However, if there is a noisy mind is drawing energy from somewhere. If you are not giving attention to this, if you find this, because usually the noise is there because you're giving energy somewhere, even by saying I don't want it, you give energy to it. If you try to suppress, you give energy to it. If you complain, you give energy to it. If you ignore, not pretend to ignore, but somehow turn away from that, or put the attention on the awareness in which this noisy mind is playing, and hold one, be one with the awareness, the noisy mind will gradually slow down. You don't need to wait for it to stop, just you are turned away from it, it is gone. Because you won't have both going together, not for long. Initially, it might be there, but gradually as you hold and be one with the awareness itself, you will see that without the wood going to the fire, wood meaning giving your attention, interest, belief, this inflames, gives it more power, energizes this movement. You're learning, if there is a sadhana, this is it. If there's some spiritual practice, this is it. To keep the attention only in the awareness itself. So effectively, it's keeping it into a kind of neutrality. You can do it, we have the power. And as I said before, so many things don't trouble you because you have no interest in it.
I see it as the self forgetting in order to remember. Losing, the self loses itself in its own dream to awaken.
And my feeling is, forget all about that. Because then you start to develop another kind of thing, too much about it, that then, okay, so I understand what's happening. The self is forgetting in order to taste remembering, and now you know this, forget about it. And just be the self. Just be the self. You see? It's easily misunderstood, some of what I say, because sometimes we feel, but if I'm just a self, then what's going to happen? Where's my life? What are you telling us, Mooji? Huh? We are not Indian cows. We have a life, we have things to do. Children to look after, we got a job, we have things to do. We're not just lying about in the street all day, eating and shitting or whatever. We have a life. How can you say, don't bother with all these things? I'm not saying don't bother. I'm saying remain as the self. Let the self bother about your life. This was what the surrender is. And then you will see that your fears are unfounded. Because activity of life is not in conflict with truth. There is if I, the feeling I, is identified with the body and person, then it will be the person's responsibility to look after their own life. But if the I is identified as consciousness, then it will be consciousness and the universe that looks after the body. Again, if the feeling I is identified or taken to be the body and the person, it will be automatically the person's responsibility to look after themselves. If your I is identified with consciousness, then it is consciousness that will take care of the body. And it will do it a lot better than the person can do. This is the joy of the surrendered ones, and those who have seen, even if it is not your way, if it's not your temperament to surrender for now, but more to inquire if this is more your way. Because some people are afraid to surrender. Oh my God. Surrender. Terrifying word. Then you inquire. Who am I who is living life? Who is living the life? There is just life. There is no one living it. How do you live life? You are life. And at the same time, life is witnessed in you, taking place. Even the feeling of deciding things, doing things, is secondary to that pure awareness in which all of this is perceived. It seems very simple, maybe to some people oversimplistic, even naive, to say just stay as awareness. It seems like it's not tricky enough, it's not technique enough, it's not clever enough. It's what, just stay as awareness? Don't we have more responsibility than that? Like to fix the world or something? I mean, what is the point? Just staying as awareness. And those who say that have never tried. Remain only as the awareness. And then you will see somehow that there's an order. You will find your own natural flow. When you live as a person strategizing existence, then your life flows, but flows like a river of mud and sludge. When you realize you are awareness, consciousness, life itself, then your life flows like a river of light. It doesn't need pushing. You're not concerned.